Stop thinking that the order you feel today, from queuing for coffee to safely walking alone at night, is something that happens naturally. Biologically, humans have a tendency to be selfish, aggressive, and if necessary, take what belongs to others if it benefits them. So why don't we get into brawls on the highway every day? The answer is because there is software or an operating system forcibly installed into our collective brains since thousands of years ago. The name of that software is law. Before there were complex constitutions or air-conditioned courts, our ancestors had to rack their brains to create the rules of the game so that thousands of humans wouldn't kill each other over trivial matters. Welcome to Arc, Chaos, and Order, in the segment The Foundation of Order. In this first episode, we will dissect 5 ancient laws that became the foundation of the first human civilizations. We'll see how the logic of retribution evolved into limitation, and how these laws dictate the way you think about justice to this very second. Prepare your critical logic. Let's dismantle the source code of this civilization. The Code of Hammurabi, the Retribution Protocol. We start around 1750 BC in Babylon. There was a king named Hammurabi who realized that his people had a hobby of seeking personal revenge. If you were hit by someone, you would bring your entire family to burn that person's house down. Pure chaos. Thus, Hammurabi created the logic of retribution or proportional payback. You've probably heard the phrase, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Sounds cruel, but by the legal logic of that era, this was a break system. Hammurabi limited revenge. If he only blinded your eye, you could only blind his eye. You couldn't kill his entire family. Your POV now, you're a Babylonian citizen who just had a chicken stolen. Previously, you might have killed the thief. Now, you bring him to this giant stone stela and demand punishment exactly as written on the stone. This was the first time in history that the law was fixed and written. The king couldn't just change the rules as he pleased when he was in a bad mood. The Code of Hammurabi taught humans that justice must be measured, not based on exploding emotions. Magna Carta, the limitation protocol. Jump to the year 1215 in England. If Hammurabi regulated the people, the Magna Carta regulated the boss, alias the king. In those days, the King of England, King John, felt he was the law itself. He could levy taxes at will, throw people in prison without reason, and seize the land of anyone he hated. The logic of the Magna Carta is limitation or the restriction of power. The English barons, who were fed up, finally forced the king to sign this contract. Its content was simple yet revolutionary. The king must also submit to the law. This was the seed of the concept of due process, or a fair legal process. You, as a viewer, might feel this is ordinary, but in 1215, this was a terrifying bug for rulers. The Magna Carta introduced the logic that power has limits. You couldn't be arrested just because the king hated your face. There had to be evidence and a court process. Without the Magna Carta, our world might still be full of dictators who feel they are the law-immune representatives of God. Napoleonic Code, the protocol of simplification and secularism. Enter the early 19th century. France had just finished its revolution and its laws were a total mess. Every region had different rules. Napoleon Bonaparte arrived and said, "This makes no sense. We need one set of rules that is simple, clear, and applicable to everyone." The birth of the Napoleonic Code changed the world systemically. Its logic was universalism. He abolished the special privileges of nobles based on blood and introduced the logic that everyone is equal before the law. Furthermore, this was a secular law, meaning it separated state affairs from religious affairs. Your POV, imagine you're a merchant moving from Paris to a remote village. Previously, the laws could be totally different. Now, thanks to Napoleon, the law is the same. This legal certainty is what allowed the economy to explode because people dared to invest without fear of the rules changing halfway. Almost all legal systems in Europe and Latin America have the blood of the Napoleonic Code in them. It is the protocol to make the state machine efficient and transparent. Sharia Basics, the protocol of moral and social synthesis. Shifting to a different logic, the Islamic legal system, or Sharia. Unlike the secular Napoleonic law, Sharia is based on a logic of synthesis between religious morality and social structure. Emerging since the 7th century, this system doesn't just regulate criminal punishment, but goes into detail like inheritance, trade ethics, and even personal hygiene. Its logic is holistic integrity. In this system, a crime is not just a violation against the state, but a violation against the universal moral order. Its advantage is compliance that isn't just because of fear of the police, but fear of a divine audit, as we discussed in the Afterlife Judges episode. You, as an observer, might see this as a very strict system, but historically, Sharia provided a very stable structure over a vast territory, from Spain to Indonesia. It created a common legal language for Muslim traders worldwide. Sharia teaches that law is not just about cold articles on paper, but about how individual behavior reflects the moral health of the entire society. Common law foundations, the precedent protocol. Finally, the common law system, born in England and now used from the US to Australia. If the Napoleonic Code is law that is written first, then executed, common law logic is evolution. This law doesn't wait for orders from a king or parliament, it is born from the decisions of judges in court. The logic is precedent. If 50 years ago there was a case of someone stealing a cow and being fined 2 gold coins, then if you steal a cow today, the punishment must be the same. Judges look to the past to decide the future. You are in court, and your lawyer doesn't just bring a law book, but a stack of old cases. Common law provides the logic that law must be flexible and keep up with the times, yet remain rooted in tradition. It is a system that believes truth is found through debate in a courtroom, not just dictated from a bureaucrat's desk. Common law teaches us that past experience is the best teacher for maintaining the order of the present. So, what is the common thread of these 5 ancient laws? Logically, order is a social technology that must be maintained. Humans are always squeezed between 2 extremes: chaos, where everyone is free to do evil, and tyranny, where one person has absolute power that oppresses. These laws are tools to find the middle ground. Hammurabi controlled the people's vengeance, the Magna Carta controlled the king's lust, Napoleon controlled administrative confusion, Sharia controlled moral integrity, and common law controlled the consistency of justice. Without these 5 protocols, our civilization would collapse back into the law of the jungle. We often complain that the law is complicated and slow, but believe me, it is much better to live in a slow system than to live in a world where whoever holds the sharpest sword is the one who determines who is right and who is wrong. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like how we explain complex things to make them make more sense, don't forget to follow Synoptic. We will continue to discuss many everyday things that are actually fascinating, as long as they're explained the right way. Synoptic, the world simplified, one thought at a time.